Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I am bringing you round 10 of my TBR game rotating decks, where I have Uno cards help me pick the prompts to build my monthly TBR. So we are doing January's TBR. It's a new year, round 10. It's been really fun. I don't have any plans on making any changes to my game. A couple rounds ago, I did instate one change, which was if we are playing with one deck for 3 rounds and a wild card doesn't come up where we get to change out the deck, I will just change the deck after 3 rounds. That way, it's a little bit more fun. There's some new visuals for you, and that's about the only change that I intended on making. I'm pretty happy with the way my TBR game is going, and so I don't have any other changes I'm going to make. There will be one change, though, in regards to my reading. I am no longer hosting the Book One Cozies Club or the first in a series Cozy Mystery Book Club that ended at the end of 2021. It was a great ride, but it was a long ride. I had that book club for over 5 years, and it was about time for me to start reading some of the sequels from those series that I started with that book club. So I'm excited to continue reading in many of those series, but I will not be having a cozy mystery every month as I did in the past. So those are the only changes that will be made for the upcoming rounds and this new year. I will still be having my Monochrome Manga Club selections because that is still running. So yeah. Let's just get into how I did in December. So I gotta be honest with you, my reading tanked in December. I didn't read as much as I thought I was going to. I didn't want to read in December. Reading was just not the thing that I wanted to do in December. It was not the thing that I would gravitate towards when I was looking to do something. So, yeah. I did manage to get some progress on some things, but let me just tell you how I did on the things that I pulled for this game. So, one of the cards I pulled was Nightmare Hall, and so that is this book right here, Nightmare Hall, The Silent Scream. This is the first book in the Nightmare Hall series by Diane Ho. I have not reached my 100 pages in this yet, and if you're new to my game or haven't been around and watched the first one, my rule is that I have to read 100 pages of the book or DNF it by the end of the month in order for me not to pull a punishment prompt. So as of the day I am filming this, it is Thursday, December 30th. I have over 24 hours to read my 100 pages, so I'm going to say I'm going to be able to do that. I am currently on page 40, chapter 5. So I have 60 more pages to go. I don't think that's going to be a problem. If it is, you'll see a clip with me pulling a punishment card later in this video. But I do not intend on having that happen. So far I'm enjoying what I read. And it's not one that I had read before, at least not one that I remember reading. It is one that I had picked up in my adulthood because I did pick this one up at Book Off. And so, yes, enjoying that, but haven't read my 100 pages yet. And then the second card that I pulled was Vampire Academy, because I did pull a skip card again. So Vampire Academy, I had to restart the series because I had read it in the past. And so this is by Rochelle Mead. It's the first book in the Vampire Academy series. I just finished this book before I sat down to film today. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of stuff that I didn't remember, but there were a few things that I did remember. So I enjoyed this one. I'm looking forward to continuing in this series. And so that's checked off for the month of December. I'm confusing myself. It is December. And so that's checked off for the month of December. And so I didn't do too badly. Do too badly, but I had a manga advent calendar project that I was doing during the month as well, which wasn't part of this game, but I didn't do well on that. So that's where my reading wasn't very good in December, and it tanked, comes in. But as far as the game goes, I don't think I did too bad. Like I said, I do intend on completing the 100 pages of Nightmare Hall, and so I'm going to consider that one a pass. I think that's pretty much all I need to tell you up front before I switch you over to the gameplay. So let me do that right now, and then I'll be back with you after to share with you what books I have pulled for those prompts, and then also let you know what other things I will be reading in the month of January.
Hello everyone, so this is the setup for our January Rotating Decks TBR game. As you can see, we are still playing with the Mattel Toys deck. I'll turn it around here so that you can see it a little bit better. And this is what the deck looks like. So we have all of the normal colors. And so I, per usual, have already shuffled the deck. But I will have my daughter cut the deck so that you know that I don't know what is on the top of this deck. Okay, so again, as per usual, I will be pulling 3 cards. And so let's see what the cards have in store for me for January. First card is a blue 0. So for zeros, I am not pulling a prompt. I can read whatever I want for that card. So that is great. It's like a mood read, if you will. But I will be choosing a card for that. I just won't be using a prompt to do it. So zeros are awesome. Next card is a yellow 8, magic 8 ball. I had one of those when I was growing up. So let's pull a yellow card. This is also awesome because we haven't had very many yellows. And the prompt is bought bought in 2020. So that just means a book that I purchased in 2020. And our last card is a yellow 9. Again, another yellow. And the card is, oh geez, this says In Death. So that is a book in the In Death series by J.D. Robb. I believe I am on the second book in that series. I will need to check, but I'm almost positive that that is the case. So those will be the cards for my rotating decks prompts for January. So I am going to go ahead and go pull some books for these prompts, and I will be back to share with you what books those are in a bit.
Okay, so some exciting things happening in that gameplay. I had some yellow prompts, which is a color that has been evasive in the previous rounds. We just picked up our first yellow prompts a couple months ago. And so we've got some more yellow prompts here, which is great. We didn't get a wild card, so we will be playing with the Mattel Toys deck one more month. And so I will let you know. I just checked what card was next on the deck in case I had pulled a fourth one. Just out of curiosity, there was something that was telling me there's something dangerous right there. And so I picked it up and I looked at it, and it was a draw for wild. And draw for wild means I need to pull a punishment card. So I would have had to change out the deck if I had pulled a fourth prompt. But I didn't. And so no punishment, no changing out the deck. But yes, that would have been scary. That would have been scary. But nonetheless, we have some exciting things to talk about. So, first up, the first card I pulled was the Viewfinder. Viewfinder? Viewmaster. Viewmaster. I had one of these when I was growing up, and I bought my daughter one too when she was growing up as well. I love this. You put the little discs inside and you can see all of the pictures and things. So a 0. Blue 0. 0 basically means I don't pull a prompt for this card, but I do have to read something. So it can be whatever I want. And so for this one, my daughter, my mother, and I have decided that we are going to be doing a buddy read of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. And so we will be starting that buddy read in January by reading The Lightning Thief. So I have read this series, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, before. My daughter has also read it, and I believe my mom has also read it. But it's been a while, and I have not continued to the Heroes of Olympus series. And so when I was putting together lists of things that I wanted to read in 2022, I pulled up a list of series that I wanted to read, and Heroes of Olympus was one of them. And so when I was talking it out with my daughter, she said, hey, I might be interested in buddy reading that with you as well. And then I talked to my mom, and so that's how that all came about. So I'm excited. We haven't buddy read anything as a family ever, I don't think. So yeah, we've listened to bits and pieces of books together, but never a whole book. And so I'm looking forward to revisiting this series. I'm sure you all know what this one is about, with demigods and our main character, Percy Jackson, finding out that he's a demigod and going to Camp Half-Blood. This is a beloved series, and I'm looking forward to revisiting these. And then finally getting to the Heroes of Olympus series. So we will be doing one book a month, and so January's pick is The Lightning Thief. Next up, I pulled a yellow 8, which is a magic 8-ball, which I'm not sure which way this goes. But I also had one of these growing up. And that prompt ended up being bought in 2020. And so for that prompt, I have a pile of possibilities. So I went through my Goodreads shelf, which is labeled bought in 2020. And I pulled up a few options. I'm not sure which one I want to read. But if I read any of these in the month of January, I'm going to call that good. So the first thing that I'm considering reading is Bungo Stray Dogs, Volume 1, Osamu Dazai's Entrance Exam. This is a light novel, and it's by Kafka Asagiri, illustration by Sango Harukawa. So, like I said, it is a light novel. I'm working one-handed here, so you can see it looks like a regular book. This is a prequel story to the Bungo Stray Dogs manga, anime. And this one follows Osamu Dazai and Doppo Kunikita, who is this guy with the glasses, and working together for the first time in the armed detective agency and their very first case. And my daughter just finished reading this before I sat down to film. She really enjoyed it. My daughter is not a reader of novels. And so when I pulled this out as something that I was considering reading, and she was like, oh, I want to read that, and then sat down and read it in one sitting, I was shocked, to say the least. But I am glad that she enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing what this one is all about. I have read a bit of the Bungo Stray Dogs manga, and I have watched a bit of the Bungo Stray Dogs anime as well. So I'm familiar with these characters, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kinds of things happen in that installment. So that's one thing I'm considering. The next thing I am considering is volumes 1, 2, and 3 of A Witch's Printing Office. This one is by Mochinchi, art by Yasuhiro Miyama, published by Yen Press, rated teen. I have 3 volumes here. Volumes 1 and 2 are titles that I pulled from my manga advent calendar project that I was doing in December that I told you I was not very successful with. And so since this came up in that project, I would like to get to it this year. So that's another thing that I am considering. This one follows a woman who gets transported into an RPG style world, and she opens up an equivalent of Comiket in that world. So that's a comic market for like fan made products and like stories and comics and things like that. So that's what that one's about. So I'll definitely be getting to that series sometime in 2022, if not in the month of January. And then the last thing that I am considering for this particular prompt is Mermaid Saga by Rumiko Takahashi. This one's published by Viz and is rated older teen. And this is another one of those series that came up in my manga advent calendar project. This is complete in 2 volumes. I am familiar with this one. So this series follows a guy who has unknowingly eaten mermaid's flesh and becomes immortal. And he wants to become human again. So while he is searching for a way to do that, he crosses paths with a mysterious woman, and could she be the key to him finding out how to become human again? Something along those lines. It's been a while since I have watched this series. My first experience with it has been the anime, which I do own, but it's been several years since I've seen that anime, and I never watched it to its entirety because I didn't have the last disc, but I do have that now. I do want to read it before I rewatch it though, so like I said, 2 volumes and it's complete in these 2 volumes, and so it's been one that I've been meaning to read for a while, just haven't gotten around to it, which is why it ended up in the jar that my manga advent calendar ended up choosing for me. And so yes, if I don't read this in January, I'll definitely be getting to it sometime this year anyway. So like I said, if I read any of those 3 things in the month of January, I will consider that prompt completed. So the last prompt I pulled was a yellow 9, and again, here's that doll that I do not know what toy this is. So if you know what this is, let me know down in the comments below because I'm interested to know. So yellow 9 brought me In Death. So that means I need to read a book from J.D. Robb's In Death series. J.D. Robb is Nora Roberts. I have read the first book in this series twice. So I am going to go ahead and continue and not reread the first book again because I'd reread the first book intending on continuing the series and then just never did it. This is one of my mom's favorite series. She has read it through a gazillion times. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. She loves this series, and so I do want to read more of it. So I'm going to start with number 2. This is Glory in Death. This is a crime, kind of futuristic series about a woman named Eve Dallas who's a police detective, and she investigates murders. In the first one, she investigated a murder. There's more murders. I presume this whole series is full of murders because it's in death. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this one is all about and finally getting past volume 1. This is a really, really long series. I think there are 50 installments so far, and it's still going. I don't think I'm ever going to finish the series, just to be honest with you, but I do want to read more of it, especially because there is a Christmas installment in the first 10, and so, yeah. Especially want to read that one because it's one of my mom's favorite series, and I would like to talk to her about it. We don't read a lot of things together. We don't read a lot of the same things, and so I'd like to be able to talk to her about more books that we've read, because a lot of times she's talking to me about a book that she's read that I haven't read, and I'm talking to her about a book that I've read that she hasn't read, and so it'll be nice to talk about a book that we've both read. So that will do it for all of the things I need to read for my Rotating Decks TBR game. So let's get into some of the other things that I plan on reading in the month of January. So Shae from ShaeGeeksOut is hosting the Flyalong, which is a most of the year readathon for the manga series Haikyuu by Haruichi Furudate. This one's published by Viz and is rated teen, and it's about a high school boys volleyball team making its way back to the top. And this is a series that I really, really, really enjoy. It's one that my family enjoys as well. We have watched the anime of it 5 or 6 times. Everything that's out, we just really enjoy it. And so my daughter has read the entirety of this series. I have not. I've only gotten up to volume 30 something. So since Shae was hosting this read along, I thought it would be a great time to just jump in and then finish it off this year. And so I believe her schedule is 1 volume a week. And so I've got 5 volumes here. So volume 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so I'm looking forward to jumping back into this one. Our family's due for a rewatch of it again anyway. And so, yes, I will be participating in the fly along until that is complete. And then I have my Monochrome Manga Club selections. So the Monochrome Manga Club is a way for me to talk about the selections that we're reading for my in real life manga club. And so for that one, we read 2 first in a series mangas, and then we have a series read. And so our 2 first in a series mangas are going to be Shortcake Cake by Sue Morishita Volume 1. This one's published by Viz, rated teen. This one follows a girl who moves into a boarding house since her high school is very far away from where she currently lives, and it's about her kind of making friends and learning to live at this boarding house and maybe navigating a romantic relationship. And so that is that. And then we will also be reading Night of the Ice Volume 1 by Yayoi Ogawa. This one is published by Kodansha rated older team. This one follows a guy who can't land his quad jumps unless he hears his favorite magical girl slogan. This is going to be good, especially with the Winter Olympics coming up, the ice skating, and so I'm looking forward to getting into it. It's one that I've been collecting for a while and have been holding off on reading, but with the Olympics coming up, I thought it would be a good opportunity to dive in, so we will also be reading that one. Now for our series read, we finished up our series that we were reading in December, so we will be starting new series read, plural. My manga club members have decided that they wanted to read 2 series together. And so we will be starting 2 series reads in the month of January. So we will be doing 2 volumes of A Silent Voice by Yoshitoki Oima. This one's published by Kodansha and is rated teen. This story follows a boy who is a bully to this girl on the cover who is deaf. He does some terrible things to her, and then there's like a time jump, and we meet up with both of the characters when they're older, and he is reassessing how he acted when he was younger. This one, we read volume 1 for the manga club a couple years ago, and it was very hard to read for me. A lot of the things that happened in here were very hard for me to read. And so I'm looking forward to reading the rest of this series. I have watched the movie. It was a difficult watch as well. Like I said, there's a few things in here that are tough situations, and so we will be exploring this series in my manga club. So I'm not looking forward to, but I'm very interested to see where that series goes after the first volume and reading it and seeing how different it is from the movie adaptation. And then we will also be reading 2 volumes of Death Note by Tsugumi Ohba and Takeshi Obata. This one is the all-in-one edition. This is the edition I have. But we will only be reading 2 volumes of this series, or 1 black edition, because the black edition is a bind-up of volumes 1 and 2. Or 2 volumes. A bind-up of 2 volumes. So this is a series that I am familiar with as well. I've watched the entirety of the anime, so I kind of know what to expect. I'm one of those people that enjoyed the first season of the anime and hated the second season. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the manga holds for me, seeing how much I remember. I feel like I remember a lot of this series, but at the same time, it's been a very, very long time since I've watched the anime. So I'm looking forward to re-experiencing this series. This one follows a guy who picks up a notebook that was dropped by a Shinigami, or a death god, and he finds out that if he writes the name of a person in this notebook, that person will die. And so he starts to use it to clean up crime, and the story kind of goes from there. That's all I'm going to say on that, because I feel like if I say anything else, we're going into spoilery territory. But yes, I'm interested to see what I think of that manga, because, like I said, I loved the first season. I hated the second season of the anime. So other than that, I just found out today that Read by Daylight, which is a readathon based on the Dead by Daylight game franchise, is coming back this year, and it's a little bit different than it was last year. Really wanted to participate last year, but just couldn't manage to do it. This year, I think it's going to be a little bit more manageable, but because I just found out about it today, I haven't pulled any books for that. Read by Daylight is hosted by A2 Brody. I will link his announcement video for the return down in the description box below in case you are also interested. I did find out that the killer that this month's round is based on is the Trickster, which is the South Korean boy band character. And so I'm interested to see what kinds of things are on the bingo board, because it is a bingo board style setup for this month, and seeing how I'm going to be able to fit those reads into all of the things that I already have planned for this month, because the stack is like here on the desk. So yeah, I'm hoping my reading mojo will come back, because that's a lot of things to get through when my reading is not where I want it to be, and it's not the thing that I'm gravitating towards doing. But it's the beginning of a new year. It's the beginning of a new month. I am going to try to be as optimistic as possible, which, if you know me, you know I'm not very optimistic, but I'm going to try to be positive about this stack. And yes, I'm excited for all of the things that I've shared with you today. Let me know down in the comments below if you've read any of these and what you thought of them, but please don't leave me any spoilers. If nothing else, and you would just like to let me know that you are here, if you could leave me a volleyball emoji down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out, and that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye!